Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Sanders, and this is Watch Outside, the art and science of watch collection. Today, I wanted to do something a little different. Um, it's similar to other things I've done, but not exactly. What I was looking for was some very excellent, very expensive watches, and then finding one that has the same functionality at a much lower price. Now, I've had some have been more successful than others in terms of what I thought. So let's get started, and I'll tell you what I have in mind. The first one turned out to be the most difficult one, and this is to find a watch that was a retrograde jumping hour. The one I have on now is a Daniel Roth, and it's a retrograde, but it doesn't have a jumping hour. The hour is retrograde, and it just sort of goes back like a regular hour and then goes back again. But one that is both like this Chanel Monsieur watch. Down at 6 o'clock, you can see the 12, and it has a minute hand. It just goes around, and then it goes, and then it comes back, and it's a retrograde, and then it has a second hand too. Now, I really looked a lot for a retrograde jumping hour with a mechanical movement. There was some with quartz. Now, uh, the the other problem was that I did find some, but they were very expensive, and I was trying to find something really not expensive. Now, this Chanel Monsieur watch, this particular one's in white gold. Uh, the bargain watch is 45,000. This one is 51,400. That's the MSRP price on them. Now, one of a very likable group of retrogrades with a jumping hour are those by Gerald Genta. Now, they don't make them anymore, but you can find a lot of them online if you look. This one I found at Del Rey Watches, and this one was $49.99. There are some other ones that are less expensive, but some of the ones I saw, either the photographs of the watches weren't very good, or they just didn't look quite what. I think you can probably find them as low as somewhere around 2,000. There's another Chrono Swiss also had some, and but they weren't. They were, I think, over 5,000, and I'm trying to get them under 5,000, a good deal under 5,000. This one was $49.99, about 5,000 with a tax. Okay, so a retrograde jumping hour. Why are these so expensive? Well, this particular one, the Chanel, is part of sort of a new line of high horology watches, and it also involved Romain Gauthier as one of the people working on the movement. So that explains a lot why it's expensive. But the funny thing, like I said, I had a really hard time finding one that, and like I said, I couldn't find any in production that were much lower. You can find plenty of them that are much higher. Anyway, sort of an interesting kind of thing. I tell you what, there is one. You might find some Harry Winstons that have that. I know that there are plenty with the retrograde, but I don't know about retrograde and jumping hour. Like I said, this one has a retrograde, but not the jumping hour. This is a Daniel Roth. Okay, moving right along. This next one, my favorite perpetual calendar is the H. Moser Endeavor Perpetual calendar. Now, up front, I'll tell you, I'm not a fan of perpetual calendars. Not because I have anything against them, but you have when they run out of steam, you've got to reset them. The reason that I like the one by H. Moser is very easy to reset. But for 75,000 Swiss francs, which is close to 80,000 bucks, that's sort of way out of my price range. So, looking around for, I know perpetual calendars are another one that are just about all watches with perpetual calendar are fairly expensive. Now, one I found that I thought was a pretty good deal was a Frederick Constant Slimline Perpetual Automatic. I think I found this one on Joma Shop or one of those places. And this is a new one with $49.90. And so you have a perpetual calendar and a little more, I don't know, with a little busier kind of dial. Now, if you look at the one on the left, the H. Moser, you'll see a little nib right near the center. That is the calendar hand for the month. And right now it's pointing up at 12. Well, there's 12 hour indexes on a watch, and they're also 12 months in the year. And so what they decided to use, they just use the same one. And then you have the time, and over at 9 o'clock, there's a power reserve indicator, which is really nice, and then a little second hand down at 6 o'clock. But this is really an excellent perpetual calendar if you like those. And the one that Frederick Constant isn't bad either. A lot easier to figure out what's going on. But that one, like I said, my favorite's always been the H. Moser when it comes to perpetual calendars. Now, the next one I thought, well, find a GMT Pilot. Now, what I had in mind, I've always liked the Patek Philippe Calatrava Pilot Travel Time. I'm not even sure why I like it. I like the looks of it, I guess, and if I could find one before 2009, I'd probably like it even better. Very expensive. This one is 59,390 and 60,000 bucks. That's, again, like I said, sort of out of my price range. But I just really like it, and it's got dual time, local and home time, and to me, it's a great design. And now finding another watch with a GMT at the pilot's watch wasn't hard. The one that I like the best is this Longines Avigation Heritage GMT, and this one was only $17.95, and it's got you can see at 5 o'clock, or one pointing to 5 o'clock, his little GMT time hand for the dual time. Then it also has the calendar as well. On the Patek Philippe, the calendar is a hand date down at 6 o'clock rather than a little window at 3 o'clock. So anyway, this is these two. I mean, to me, that's a great deal. Longines, I think, is one of those watch brands that's often overlooked. Now, both of these have one thing I don't particularly care for, and that's the silicone hairspring. Patek Philippe decided to put it in all of theirs, and Longines is owned by Swatch, and Swatch was stuffing those things in all of their watches, so they're comparable, I suppose. Not something I normally care for, though. Okay, now for a dress watch, this turned out to be incredibly easy. The Romain Gauthier, anything by Romain Gauthier, I would love to have, and I was surprised to find this one at $49,556. Most of them that other ones, I should say, that I like are over $100,000, but I guess this is the bargain one. Still a lot. But we'll say $50,000 to make it easy. It's a beautiful dress watch. It's just right for a dress watch as far as I'm concerned. Other ones are your Vacheron Constantin, Patrimony. One that they pretty much gotten rid of. They may have gotten rid of it altogether, but it's still a nice one, is the Rolex Cellini. I like that one for a dress watch too. FP Journe Chronographs Souvain. I love that as a dress watch. So I've got a lot of dress watches. So it's something I like a lot. I just don't have a lot of money for all of them. And so I started looking for a good deal on a dress watch. And this Seiko Prestige, $450. What a great dress watch. I mean, it's about the only thing that makes it sort of beyond a dress watch is the date. I mean, as a pure dress watch, but still, I thought this was a nice dress watch for the price. I like Seiko. It's one of those brands that you get a whole lot for what you pay for. And so this one for a high and low seem to go together. Now, the final two is one that the Alanga Unsunda datograph up down is one of the best watches around. I think Philippe Dufour has one and was saying he thought that was the best watch ever made, something to that effect, which is very high praise. $80,000. It's way out of my price range. So, but I found one that I like. I think we may have even talked about this in a recent video. This is the Hanhart. The Hanhart is a German brand. 417 ES Moby Dick chronograph. Another thing, I'm not into chronographs. I'm not into perpetual calendars, but I know a lot of people like them. A lot of people, probably one of the most popular, if not the most popular, more complicated watch or more additional function is the chronograph. And both of these, there's nice chronograph functions in both of them, except one is 80,000 and the other one is 2280. So it's sort of fun in a way. I mean, if you just sort of love watches and you love collecting watches, to me, it's one of the fun things is to find some great examples of top brand and top price watches, and then find something I can afford. And there are two ways I can afford it. One, if I get lucky and find one somewhere that one of the top ones that had dropped in price for some reason. And the other way is simply to find another brand that is a much more reasonable price. But this is sort of a fun thing. I would really like to hear from you some ideas that you have, or some very expensive watches you'd love to have, but you can't afford, and looking at something that may be possible alternative. Very much like to hear from you. This is an opportunity to subscribe if you like. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Outside, the Art and Science of Watch Collection.